everyone, it's Kim, the career coach. I'm here today to give you some tips for answering interview questions. The first one I want to go with is read between the lines. Understanding why you were being asked the question that you were being asked is the first key to answering it successfully. So in my last video, you may or may not remember that I talked about 5 buckets of questions. I talked about team player, I talked about risk management, I talked about are you passionate about your job and life, I talked about the value that you brought to the position, and so these are all things that the employer is trying to get to the bottom of as they interview you. So being able to read between the lines and saying, which bucket is this coming from? That's going to help you position yourself well, and it's going to help you come up with the right answer to that question. The second thing I want you to do is be very intentional about what you dial up and what you dial down. So there are going to be things that they uncover in the interview that might make you a little uncomfortable. For example, maybe your position was eliminated, maybe you were laid off, and that makes you a little bit uncomfortable. It's okay to talk about that, but it's all in how you do talk about that. It's the things that you share. It's kind of where you land in that conversation. If you say, yeah, my position was eliminated, and you act as though you're overwhelmed and depressed and it's very uncomfortable, you're going to make them very uncomfortable. But if you say, yeah, I was there for 4 or 5 years, and the department, they downsized the department, and I was a little bit surprised, but I'm actually seeing it as a blessing in disguise. I'm looking forward to the next chapter in my life, and as I've been looking at new opportunities, I came across this one, and I'm very excited about this. And you tell them why you're interested in their particular job. Again, it's all in where you land. It's all in what you decide to dial up and dial down. So you just kind of graze over anything negative and you really dial up the positive, and you have great energy. That's really important too. The third thing you want to do is connect by using relevant examples, okay? So when you're asked for an example of a strength, you want to give a strength that's going to be value, an immediate value to that team. You want to make sure that you're using the most current examples that you possibly can. Oftentimes I'll find job seekers, they'll pull from 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and I'll know they're pulling from 10 or 12 years ago because they'll give me the name of the company, and then I'll look on their resume and I'll say, wait a minute, how come all their examples are coming from so far back? That's a huge red flag to the interviewer. So make sure you're connecting by using relevant and current examples. The fourth thing is be conscientious about answering their question. So again, you can't prepare for every question that's going to come your way in the interview process, but you can Google difficult interview questions, print those out, and take some time to write the answers to those questions. Now again, you're not going to know every question that's going to come your way, but there's variations of questions that you might get that will enable you to come up with an answer so that when the time comes, you will be able to answer that question. I think when people find, and I've even heard people say this when I'm doing a mock interview with them, they find themselves talking in circles. They know they didn't answer the question, but they can't think of anything in the moment. So that's why doing that front end work is so very important, and it's extremely helpful to the job seeker. So be conscientious of answering the question, the specific question that they're asking. Do your homework. Number 5, I want you to only give the necessary details. So we talked about what to dial up, what to dial down. I want you to be sure that when you share a story, that you don't give them so many details that they find that they're getting bored, they're thinking about their grocery list. You need to get straight and to the point, and the best way to do that is to use the STAR method. Many of you may be familiar with this, some of you might not. There's an acronym called STAR, S-T-A-R, and it basically stands for situation, task, action, and results. And if you take the time to answer the difficult interview questions in that format, you describe the situation, the task, the action you took, and the result, you're going to do a fantastic job. And if you do this in advance of the interview, you're going to feel like you got the answers to the test when you actually go to the interview. It's going to make you feel wonderful. I hope these job tips were helpful for you today, and I hope that you have a fantastic job search day. Bye-bye.